In the UFC, not all rules are written, but every fighter knows them. From fake glove touches, to silent agreements about fouls, to champions keeping their belts in razor-close fights. These aren't in the rulebook, but break them, and you'll lose more than just a match. Before we start, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into MMA's untold stories. These are the UFC's unspoken laws, the unwritten rules of the fight game. Starting with fake glove touching. At the beginning of many fights, it's common to see fighters reach out for a glove touch, a brief moment of mutual respect before the chaos begins. But when someone fakes that gesture just to land a cheap shot, one of the most universally hated unwritten rules in combat sports. Here's the thing, you're not required to touch gloves. If you've got bad blood or just want to get straight to business, you can skip it and no one hold it against you. Fighters do it all the time. But if you pretend like you're going in for a glove touch and your opponent lets their guard down expecting that brief pause and aggression, and then you strike instead, that's dirty. No question about it. Technically, yes, it's legal, but morally, it's slimy. Fighters are taught from day one to protect themselves at all times. That's true, but the glove touch is seen as a small, unsaid agreement, a fleeting gesture of sportsmanship, a silent acknowledgement of respect before war begins. Violating that moment just to gain an advantage doesn't make you clever. It makes you look cheap. Even in boxing, when Floyd Mayweather sucker punched Victor Ortiz right after an awkward mid-fight hug, fans were divided. Some defended it by the rulebook. Others called it dishonorable. In MMA, it's even more frowned upon. Fake glove touches are so rare that when someone actually does it, fans remember, and not in a good way. And if you think that's bad, wait till you hear what fighters get away with next. The unspoken free pass. In most UFC fights, it feels like every fighter gets one free foul, whether it's a low blow, an eye poke, or grabbing the fence. The first offense usually doesn't come with any real consequences. The referee just gives a warning and lets the fight continue. No point deductions, no timeouts, just a verbal note and back to business. It's not an official rule written anywhere, but we see it happen all the time. A fighter lands a groin strike, the ref pauses the action, gives a quick warning, and resumes the fight. Same goes for eye pokes or blatant fence grabs used to prevent a takedown. Even when it's clear and obvious, the first foul almost never results in any immediate penalty. This has led many to believe that some fighters knowingly take advantage of it. Maybe they throw a questionable strike early on to slow their opponent down. As long as they play it off like an accident and it's their first offense, they know they'll likely get away with it. But that one accidentally shifts the momentum of a fight. There have even been bouts where fighters commit multiple fouls, 2, 3, even 4, and still never get docked a single point. This system needs to change. Points should be taken after a clear foul, not only after repeated ones. Because right now, as long as you commit just one, chances are you're in the clear. Just don't push your luck, or you might eventually lose a point. But not every foul gives you an advantage. Some give you a way out. The question is, will you take it? Imagine you're in a fight and things aren't going your way. You're down on the scorecards, getting outworked round after round. And then suddenly your opponent lands an illegal strike. Maybe it's a knee to the head while you're grounded. Now, technically you have a choice. You could tell the ref, I can't continue, and win the fight by disqualification. You get your hand raised, your record stays clean, and on paper, it goes down as a win. But here's the thing, most fighters and a lot of fans see that as a weak move. Even if it's completely within the rules, it's still frowned upon. If you are clearly losing, many believe you should push through and keep fighting unless you're genuinely unable to continue. Taking the DQ win can feel like gaming the system. One of the most talked about examples, Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan. Yan threw an illegal knee, and Sterling said he couldn't go on. He won by DQ, and with that, became the UFC bantamweight champion. The backlash was immediate. Many fans believed he exaggerated the damage to get the belt, even though the strike was undeniably illegal. Now contrast that with Anthony Smith. John Jones hit him with a clear illegal knee during their title fight. Smith was behind on the cards and could have taken the DQ win and walked away as champion. Instead, he shrugged it off and kept fighting. He lost the fight, but gained something else. Respect. So here's the unspoken rule. If you're getting beat and you get fouled, don't quit unless you're seriously hurt. The win might look good on your record, but fans and fellow fighters won't forget how you got it. You lost. Now what? In the UFC, what you say after the fight might define you more than what you did inside the cage. In MMA, there's one golden rule that fighters and fans alike tend to agree on: don't make excuses. Take the loss, own it, and move forward. But despite how widely accepted this idea is, fighters break this rule all the time. Right after a fight, you'll often hear something like, "I'm not making excuses," but followed by a long list of excuses. It's always the same story. "I was battling the flu," or "my training camp was a disaster," or "my foot was injured the whole time." It's their way of trying to explain a poor performance without sounding like they're whining, even though that's exactly how it comes across. Almost every fighter has done this at some point, and honestly, it's one of the most frustrating habits in the sport. No one forced you into the cage. You knew your condition, knew the risks, and still made the walk. That means you accepted the terms. Now here's the twist. If a fighter wins and later says, "I had a broken hand the whole time," fans celebrate it. They see it as a badge of toughness. But when a fighter loses and says the same thing, it sounds like damage control. Like they're looking for a way to soften the defeat instead of just accepting it. This rule exists because fighting is about accountability. The moment you agree to step into that cage, you're saying, "I'm ready." If things go wrong, that's still on you. Sure, most fighters aren't 100% on fight night. Most of them do have valid reasons for falling short, but bringing those reasons up afterward rarely helps. It just makes it look like you're trying to explain away the loss instead of owning it. And in this sport, nothing earns respect like taking a loss on the chin and saying, "He was the better man tonight." There's trash talk, and then there's dragging someone's family into it. Cross that line, and it's not just business anymore. It's war. So don't get family involved. You can say your opponent is overrated, has no cardio, or whatever else you want. But the moment you bring up their wife, kids, parents, or anything personal, you have crossed the line. Even though there are no official rules about trash talk, most fighters and fans agree that going after someone's family is cheap and disrespectful. Some fighters have ignored this rule completely. Conor McGregor, Colby Covington, and Chael Sonnen are known for saying wild things. Conor talked about Khabib's wife, his religion, and even his father. Colby took shots at Jorge Masvidal's kids and family. When this kind of stuff happens, fans get upset, fighters get furious, and it just makes everything uncomfortable. Fighters take it seriously because their families are not part of the fight. They did not sign up to be targets, and they're not the ones stepping into the cage. So when you bring them into it, it feels like you're going for the lowest blow possible. It's not about selling the fight anymore. It becomes personal. And once it gets that personal, things can explode quickly. Post-fight brawls, backstage scraps, even press conference meltdowns. A lot of that starts when someone crosses this line. If you do break this rule, just know that the fight might not be the end of it. You might win the match, but you'll be seen as the loser in everyone's eyes. The fake shiny belt. When a fighter wins an interim title, the whole point is that they're the temporary champion until the real champ is ready to defend. The idea is simple. The interim belt holder should be next in line. They should automatically fight the actual champion to decide who the real champ is. That is the entire reason interim belts exist. But here's the problem. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes the UFC gives the title shot to someone else, skips the interim champ, or just leaves them waiting for months. So even though they have a belt around their waist, it ends up feeling kind of meaningless if they are not guaranteed that title fight. Fighters really hate this because winning an interim title is not easy. It's not just handed out. They go through a tough training camp, beat another top contender, and rightfully expect their shot at the undisputed belt. But if the UFC thinks someone else will sell more pay-per-views, the interim champ might get pushed aside. That's why a lot of fans feel like the interim title is fake. It's just a shiny reward with no power behind it. Now the final unwritten rule. In the UFC, there's an unwritten rule fans always talk about. If you want to take the belt, you have to really beat the champ. Either knock him out or dominate every round. Just winning a close decision isn't enough for some fans, or even some judges. And if you think about it, it doesn't really make much sense. Fights are judged round by round, and whoever wins more rounds is supposed to win the fight. But since the champ holds the title, people act like you have to do something crazy to take it from him. So even if the challenger barely edges it out, people still say he didn't really beat the champ. It's like the champion gets bonus points just for being the champion. That's why in super close fights, the champ often keeps the belt, even if a bunch of fans think the other guy should have one. It's not fair, but it happens all the time, and fighters know this. If you're fighting for the belt, you know a close one might not get you the gold. That's why challengers try to either finish the fight or make it super clear they dominated, so there's no doubt in anyone's mind. At the end of the day, this rule isn't official. It's just something people believe, but it still ends up affecting how judges score fights and how fans react. So even if you technically outscore the champ, if it's not clear enough, people might still still say you didn't really earn it. In the UFC, you don't just fight the opponent, you fight the system. If you want more deep dives into the fight game's secrets, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next round.